welcome back to my channel Endless Pages. I'm Liv and welcome to today's video, which is a wrap up of everything I've read so far this year. Hello, welcome to today's video. It's been a while since I've posted. Life got a little bit busy. I started uni again. So that has been really stressful and taken up majority of my time. So hence why I haven't been posting a lot. Am I procrastinating uni work by filming a video? Absolutely I am. So anyway, this video is going to be a wrap up of every book I have read so far this year in 2025. I was scrolling through my channel and I realized I hadn't posted a single wrap up video this year. So I hadn't told you guys about anything that I've read. So I thought I would do a video where I just pop all the books into one video and hope that it doesn't go for too long. I'm going to try and go chronologically if I can. So let's start with the first book I read in 2025, Neon Gods by Katie Roberts. I wanted to start off the year with smart. What can I say? I wanted to start off my year with positive energy and smart. So hence why I picked up Neon Gods. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. Basically in this retelling, Persephone is trying to flee her life. But that her plan kind of gets turned upside down when her mother organizes an engagement to Zeus. So she kind of flees that and ends up making a deal with Hades, the king of the underworld, where they fake date, kind of. I don't know if I'd call this fake dating, but kind of. They stir up some rumors by doing some things together. Anyway, that's not important. This video is starting off just as great as all my others. So yeah, I'll start with a positive. I loved the smart in this book. I loved the dynamic between Hades and Persephone. I thought that was really well written. This is a little bit of a darker romance. And I think that it was handled really well in terms of consent with the things that they were doing, and Hades and Persephone had such good open communication when it came to understanding what each other was comfortable with, what each other's limits were, both sexually and emotionally, I guess, with what they were talking about and the wounds that they were kind of opening and discussing. So I think with the darker-ish kind of content, that it was handled really well. And I appreciated that, and that honestly just added to the experience for me because these characters were comfortable with what they were doing, so that just made it really enjoyable for me. So I think the open discussions about consent and understanding, especially when scenes kind of changed and morphed and plans kind of changed on the go, there was constant rechecking of consent, so I really loved that. So I was enjoying this book to start off with. Obviously the tension between Hades and Persephone is amazing and all of those scenes are fun and wonderful. My issue with this book was the repetitiveness of the dialogue, and I'm gonna sound like, what's the expression? Like a broken horse? Like, that's not the expression. A broken record. The fuck did I get horse from? Okay, I am technically still recovering from being sick. Broken horse. Okay, let's blame the sick brain on that. I want to sound like a broken record. Where did I get horse from? I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say my negative about this book, but I find a lot of my issue with romance and the romance, I guess, the inner thoughts of the characters that you read is the repetitiveness of it. I find it frustrating that these characters are surprised in these kind of books when they have feelings for one another. Like, a character will do something for the other character, and for example, like Hades will do something nice for Persephone, like he'll understand her and he'll, I guess, anticipate a need or whatever, and she'll be like, oh, wow, like how did he know me like that? Like, he did that for me? Like, I didn't think he liked me. And like, they're obviously so attracted to each other. And I know there's the difference between like they're just a straight up lust for one another and something deeper, but it's so obvious that they like each other, they understand each other, they want to help each other. It's really obvious. So when characters are so surprised that this character does something nice for them, it's frustrating to me, and I found that this was something that happened from the very get-go to the very end of this book. By the time I got to 50-60% through this book, I was honestly really tempted to DNF it. And it was just like the scenes were getting so annoying to me, and I was so frustrated, and I was like, I want a different thought. I want some fresh thoughts, not just these same thoughts over and over and over again. But I didn't DNF. I went all the way through, and yeah, it was good. I gave it 3 stars. Purely just, I guess the 3 stars are probably for the smut scenes and for the consent. That was where my 3 stars came from. I just don't think Katie Roberts, no, I always say Roberts, Katie Robert. I don't think her books are for me, maybe, and I have other books of hers on my shelf, which is annoying because I don't think her writing style is for me. I'm glad I gave it a go. I've been very curious about this book. My curiosity is now filled. And I now know. Second book of the year is We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. This was my first 5-star of the year, which is very exciting. This is a young adult book. I've been really curious about this book for a long time. I first found out about it during COVID, I think it was. During one of the lockdowns, can't remember which one, they all blend into one now. My local library was doing home deliveries, and they would pick out like a mystery bag. You would give them like genres and stuff, and they would give you books based off that. So one of my local librarians picked for me this book, and I never read it at the time. I didn't do much reading during COVID. I was very sad. But I finally picked it up and I finally read it, and oh my god, I'm so mad at myself that it's taken me so long to read this book. It is so good, so good. So we follow the story of our main character, who is a teenage boy whose boyfriend committed suicide. As well as his boyfriend, he's dealing with his jobless brother, his grandma, who he is slowly losing to Alzheimer's, and his mother, who's also just kind of like a husk of herself. So he's having a really, really horrible time of life. So while all this stuff is going on in his personal life, our main character Henry has also been constantly abducted by aliens. And one day the aliens give him an ultimatum. The world is going to end. How many days was it? 144 days. The world's going to end in 144 days. And our main character is faced with a choice. He can push the button and save everyone, or he cannot push the button and watch the world end. And Henry doesn't really know what choice he wants to make. He doesn't really see any point in saving the world. This was an incredibly moving book. I was crying through most of this book. It is a really hard and heavy read. I would please urge you all to check the trigger warnings. It feels like so long ago I read this. Definitely like mental health, suicide, rape, yeah, just a lot of trigger warnings that I would want you to go check out before you picked up this book, because it is heavy and I found it a really challenging read. I really struggled to get through parts because it was so heavy and so open about discussions like this. Yeah, you kind of spend the book with Henry and all of the different dynamics that he has going on in his life, with his boyfriend, his sexuality, his home life, his family's financial situation, and you watch him question whether Earth is worth saving, and dealing with his mental health, dealing with loss, dealing with the damaged relationships that were or the relationships that were damaged because of the death of his boyfriend, and yeah, the impacts that death has had on him and how it's impacted his life. This is like maybe one of the best things I've ever read, and I can't describe why. The writing is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely moving. It is a beautiful exploration of the power of relationships and friendship, and the people around you, and I guess that life is going to have so many ups and downs, and that despite how low you may be in life, there is always the little bits of joy that can keep you moving forward despite the loss and struggles that you are dealing with. There is always little moments of joy and life that you joy and laughter and yeah, moments that can keep you moving forward no matter how small, and the people in your lives and how complicated those relationships are, but how much they are worth despite the ups and downs of the relationship. And it's just so incredibly moving and beautiful, and it was such a heartbreaking read. It was absolutely fantastic. Really, really beautiful discussions on mental health in young adults, specifically queer young adults, and I connected with this book so much. I found it so powerful, and I just absolutely adored every second of it, despite how much it made me sob. So yeah, 5 stars. Absolutely incredible, moving book. I absolutely ate this up. I read it so quickly. I'm not normally a quick reader, but I ate it up. I obsessed. Definitely one of my favorite books now, ever. Just beautiful. Next up, I read The Lion, the Witch and Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. I don't really have much to say about this that's probably hasn't been said before. Yeah, I can't believe it's taken me this long to read it. I knew the story, I was a huge fan of the movies, so this was nothing really that new for me, to be honest. Obviously there's a few differences, but nothing major. 5 stars. It's The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. What else can I say about this? Next up, I read volume 7, 8, and 9 of Jujutsu Kaisen. This is quickly becoming one of my favourite series. I cannot believe how obsessed I am with these books. I just absolutely adore them. Do I have any understanding of any of the power system? Absolutely not. Does the author trying to explain it confuse me more? Absolutely yes. Do I understand domain expansion? Hell no. Do I have the absolute best time with these books? Absolutely. The fight scenes are incredible, and I love our main character, and I love watching him grow. Like, obviously our main character, if you don't know, is basically this boy, high school boy. He is in like his school's like occult club, and then he like swallows the finger of this like demon thingy, and then gets his power and learns jujutsu to fight these kind of monsters. Anyway, yeah. So obviously he's powerful because he can get taken over by this demon. But I like watching his growth and he expand his own power and his own strength. I just really love our main character, watching him grow. I'm really enjoying that. And obviously there's a really strong cast of side characters that you also love. But I've sadly spoiled this series for me. I'm just up to the my sick brain can't think at the moment. The Shibuya kind of incident. And sadly I know how it ends because I saw TikTok edits before I started reading these, so sadly the emotional impact will be a little bit less because I will see it coming and I know what happens, but I think I'll still be absolutely devastated and cry while reading the next couple of volumes because, yeah, you can't get attached to a single character in this series, and that's what makes it so emotionally impactful, is when you never know who's next, and it shows you what a dangerous world this is and what a dangerous thing hunting and being a jujutsu sorcerer is. And I like the fact that you can't get connected to anyone, because then where's the tension if you don't know which one of your favorite characters is going next? Yeah, this is a brutal series. I love it so much. I love watching our main character grow, and yeah. I am not ready for the next couple of volumes. That's probably why I haven't picked it up since, but 5 stars all round. I love this series. It's so freaking good. And I can't wait to read ahead so I can watch the anime. I actually read volume 10 as well of Jujutsu Kaisen. I just noticed because I didn't read them all in order. So I actually read 7, 8, 9, 10, all 5 stars. Then I read Tokyo Ghoul by Sue Ishida. I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't really like it that much. This follows our main character who basically gets attacked by this creature called ghouls who like feed on humans. And then in order to try and save him, they take, I think it was the heart of the ghoul and put it into him So he kind of turns into this half human, half ghoul creature, and it's about him learning about, you know, being a ghoul, being a half ghoul. I found this kind of boring. You just kind of spend the whole volume with him just like dealing with being a ghoul, and I find that plot-wise nothing much happens. I know it is the first volume and we're setting up the context, but I just wasn't really engaged with this one. The only reason I would think about maybe continuing on is because, again, I've seen edits of the anime and it looks like it gets really good. So I think I will try and continue on with the manga. I already bought volume 2, which has broken one of my rules, is don't buy the sequel if you haven't read the first one. That's like one of my buying rules, and for some reason, you know, I think it was super cheap at like a secondhand book haul, so I got it, bookstall, so I got it. Anyway, so I will try and continue on. If I don't vibe with the manga, I might try and continue on with the anime, and watch the anime, because I've seen some edits and some scenes and it looks really cool, but I'm just not getting that vibe yet. So yeah, we'll see. Next up, I read Drowning by TJ Newman. This was a disappointment. I wanted to like this one so much, but I just didn't. We follow a plane crash, and on the plane crash is our main character, whose name I can't remember. It is Will, and his 11-year-old daughter Shannon survived the plane crash, but they're like on the bottom of the ocean in this plane that's quickly filling with water. And then we also follow the rescue team that have Will's ex-wife on the team, and they race to try and save Will, his daughter, and the other passengers that are still alive before the cabin fills with water and they all drown. So I thought this was going to be really good. The blurb sounds really interesting. I thought it was going to be really tense and action-packed and like claustrophobic, and I just don't think we focused enough on the actual danger and claustrophobia of this situation they were in. It seemed to be more focused on the characters, and all of the characters were so annoying to me. They were all like caricatures. They were like extreme exaggerations of personality types, which really pulled me out of the story, because I was like, this is so unrealistic of a character. Like, does anyone actually act like this? So that was really distracting for me in the story. I think we focused too much on the character types rather than like, hey, look at this dangerous situation we're in. Let's describe how claustrophobic it feels. Let's describe the fear we fear. I just didn't get enough of that description. I think it focused too much, yeah, on the characters, and it focused too much on Will and his ex-wife story. It's more about them like dealing with their shit. And I just found it got a little bit silly, and I just, like, obviously it's going to be a little bit silly. It's about rescuing people from a plane at the bottom of the ocean. It's going to be a little bit silly and unrealistic, right? But it just got to a level of silliness that I just couldn't deal with. I found the end scene, without spoiling, really anticlimactic and just not what I was looking for. It just didn't have that, you know, like end of the book tension, like the height of the story. It just didn't have that tension for me, and I was just so disappointed. I wanted to feel crazy uncomfortable. I wanted to feel claustrophobic. I wanted to feel like I was trapped on that plane with them. I wanted to feel their fear, and I just didn't get that from this book. And what's the point of this book without that? The next book I'm not going to talk about. It was The Cold, book 5. It's not even got an author, by the Walt Disney Company. It's a kid's Star Wars book. I think I read it to meet a Pokemon prompt, to be honest. I gave it 3 stars. Next up is definitely my most disappointing read of the year. Like, out of all of these disappointing ones, this hit the most being disappointing. This is Leave the Girls Behind by Jacqueline Bublitz. This was highly anticipated for me. It's the same Australian author that wrote one of my favourite books from a couple of years ago, which was Before You Knew My Name, which was incredible writing, absolutely stunning, heartbreaking, beautiful message, so good. This one just felt like the complete opposite of that. This is wild. It felt like it was not the same author. I was like, is this the same author? Like, what is going on here? Like 20 issues ago, I can't remember how much was it, like 19 years ago, our main character's childhood best friend was murdered by a convicted killer, Ethan Oswald, and ever since that, our main character has been haunted by that. So then, when a girl starts going missing in her town where it happened, she believes that there has been someone working with Ethan this whole time. So she goes across the world trying to figure out, was Oswald working with someone who was taking these girls now? And it was so disappointing. Again, this felt silly. Get what they were trying to do. The main character was haunted by like the other victims of Ethan, or well, who she believes to be the other victims of Ethan. She believes all of these cases are connected, and she, I guess, is wanting to have some closure and have some justice for these girls that she sees, these dead girls. It was really silly. It was really slow. Again, I felt like the writing style was a completely different author. In her other book, Before You Knew My Name, it was like some of the best, beautiful writing I've ever read. And this was just like not on par with that book at all. There was like a little bit of a twist. I'll admit there was a twist that I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. So I was thoroughly surprised by the twist, so it got me. So I guess it did what it was trying to do, which was trick me. So I'll give it that at least. But I really struggled. I probably should have DNF'd this book, to be honest, but I wanted to see it through. I wanted to see the shock ending, and I just found the ending silly and frustrating, and I was like, just so disappointed, because I went into this book with such a good attitude. I was like, I'm going to eat this up, it's going to be incredible, but it just really fell flat for me. I didn't think the writing was all that good. The characters were incredibly annoying. I felt that what they were trying to do with the message just felt flat, and didn't have that same impact of the message of the other book. I appreciate what I was trying to do, but I just think that she failed in trying to get that message across, to be honest. And yeah, this was really unsatisfying, and I honestly hated every minute of it. So I think I gave it 3 stars, but honestly, like, I feel like now I shouldn't have given it 3 stars. Let's see what I gave it. Surely I didn't give this book 3 stars. Like, surely. Oh, okay, I was going to say, I gave this book 2 stars. I was going to say this does not deserve a 3 star. I gave this book 2 stars, which is crazy. I've gone from 5 stars of her other book, one of the best things I've ever read, to 2 stars. This will be unhauled immediately, and I will hope to push it out of my memory forever. Next up, I read a 4.5 star. That is Clean. This is by Elia Trabuco-Zaran. This is a translated work. This is off my Read the World Discord challenge created by Tracy, which I will tag in the description, where you read 2 books from every continent in the year 2025. So this is described as a literary thriller. I really don't think there's much of a thriller element. I think it's more literary fiction, to be honest. Like, there is a mystery, but I just don't think that's the main focus or the main point of this book. We follow our main character, who is a maid, who is recounting the story about how the daughter of the family that she works for ended up dead. And this is a huge discussion on class and power dynamics. This is set in Chile, and we follow our maid, and basically the story is from the moment she started working for this family to the moment the daughter ends up dead. And we follow this maid's life, her day-to-day life working for this family, how they made her feel, what she did. And it's honestly, like, at first I was like, oh, this is gonna be really boring, but I think that is kind of the point of you reading along with this woman's life, and you, as the reader, just start to grow this rage of her treatment over the years, and how she is so stuck in this job, stuck being treated like this, stuck being looked down upon her whole life by the family she dedicates her life to cleaning and raising their daughter. This book just makes you angry, and like you feel trapped in this life with this maid, because you are just reading her day to day from morning to night. You are stuck with this woman, stuck in this life that she's stuck in. And you just, yeah, like this rage just like builds and builds and builds as you read this book, for the power dynamic between the family and her, and the sacrifices she makes to keep this job, to be a good maid, to meet the standards of this family, and the red flags in her that they ignore, the way they treat her and look down upon her and belittle her. And it's just, it's infuriating, and it's like this never ending devastating read as you're, like I keep saying, you're trapped in this life with her. You're reading her day to day, the exhausting day to day of her life, and it's just the monotonous, easy for me to say, nature of her day, every day the same. And it's just absolutely devastating and really hard to read. Like I said, I think the thriller aspect of this book is just like so in the back burner, and at first I was like, oh, but then I didn't care because I started to get the book. Despite the monotonous nature of the book, I was absolutely enthralled. Like I think I almost read this whole book in a day, which is crazy for me. Like I never do that. I never do that. But I almost read this whole book in a day because I was so enthralled in the story. I was fully absorbed in it. I was so pulled in, and like I can't say that a lot about books. I was tossing up whether to give this 4 or 5 stars. I really loved the ending. The ending was so fucking frustrating, but again, I think that was the point. But I literally closed the book and I was like, no, it can't be how it ends. What the fuck? But that was a good thing. Like, I think it was good that I felt like that. It wasn't a what the fuck was that? It was like, what the fuck was that? That's not a good description, but like, I liked how it ended. Even though it was incredibly unsatisfying, I liked that it was unsatisfying. Yeah, I still don't really know if it's 4.5 or 5. I loved the idea of the pacing, but then it annoyed me a little bit, so I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think I actually want to rate it? It's currently sitting at a 4.5. So yeah, I was obsessed. I recommend everyone read this book. It is absolutely fantastic, and I can't remember who recommended this to me. Probably Erin. Actually, this is probably an Erin recommendation. Whoever recommended this to me, thank you. This was so good. Another disappointing read, Bingo Love by T. Franklin. I read this for the Thick Thighs readathon. This is a graphic novel. I thought it was going to be absolutely adorable, and I thought I was going to eat this up. We follow 2 characters in the 1960s, 2 black women who are absolutely in love with each other, but they get found out, and because of the times, they get pulled apart. And they eventually move on with their lives, both married men, have families, blah blah blah. All this time later, when they are grown women, grandmas, they reunite at a bingo hall, and that's all I'll say. But this was really disappointing. I thought that this had potential to explore some really important topics like race and sexuality, and I just feel like it just kind of skimmed the surface of dealing with those kind of concepts, and it was all very rushed. I feel like this would have been better as a series rather than just all in one volume. I think it would have been better to take time to get to know these characters, really see the impact that them being pulled apart as teenagers had on their lives and the decisions that they made in their lives, exploring what they did with their lives when they weren't together, when they had their own families, what that looked like, how they dealt with hiding their identity. And I understand that sometimes we just want to have positive queer stories, and that to me makes total sense. But when you start the story like that, I feel like it would be good to explore that and the impact that that had on our characters. The reason I'm so frustrated with this story is that it was incredibly rushed, I will say. if you've read this, you probably know what I mean. There was something that happened in this book that was really rushed, and I don't think the implications of this rushed decision were really well thought out or well acknowledged or discussed, or it didn't go into how the characters felt about this super rushed, crazy, life-changing decision and the impact that it would have on the people around them. So I feel like this was a really wholesome, queer, happy story at the end, and it was really cute and wholesome. It just felt like a little bit like kiddish, to be honest. Like, I don't think it's meant to be aimed at kids, but it felt kiddish, I guess, in its like innocence, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, it's meant to be a bit YA. Okay, alright, that's fair enough. But yeah, it was very YA, I guess I will say now, in its ending, and I just feel like this was all very surface level. The decisions were rushed and the implications of decisions weren't explored. There was life-changing decisions happening in this book that weren't explored, and I found that really unsatisfying. But it was really cute and queer and lovely, so I gave it 3 stars, but really disappointing and not what I thought it was going to be. I definitely think, I'll say it again, this would have worked better in a series rather than in one rushed graphic novel. A second last book, we have Actual Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, the third and final book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. Okay, I definitely see now why everyone says that this is their favourite of the Brown Sisters books. I can wholeheartedly say I absolutely agree. Like I said, this is the youngest Brown sister, Eve. Eve is kind of all over the place, can't really hold down a job, messy kind of person, and she has a fight with her parents who are like, grow up, act your age, get your shit together. So she goes off on a drive of anger and drives so far that she comes across this little town where there's this Airbnb and sees that they are looking for a chef. So she's like, my parents want me to get a job, alright, I'll go for this job. So then the interview is a disaster and she storms off, and the owner of the Airbnb is desperate for a chef, so he kind of chases after her to be like, okay, you've got the job. And then she accidentally hits him with her car and feels really guilty and hangs around and takes the job to help him out until he's back on his feet. So this is kind of a little bit enemies to lovers. I'm smiling because this book was fucking adorable. So I love our female main character. Give me any book with character development, character growth, growth of confidence, getting rid of imposter syndrome, and I'll eat that shit up. That's something that I love seeing, especially in female characters in books. I just eat that up. We also have the love interest who is an autistic man, which I've never read before in a book, so that was really refreshing, and I think that was so interesting, and I think these two just complemented each other so well and were so adorable. There were so many cute, hilarious scenes in this book. I was like kicking my feet with joy. It was absolutely adorable, but so beautiful at the same time. This is really about Eve, really for the first time in her life, being accepted for who she is. Jacob, her love interest, sees her for who she is, and loves that she's absolutely unapologetically herself, despite the fact that he is autistic and some of her personality, I guess, and traits at the start really throw him, and really kind of mess with his very ordered, in control life. And I like that he kind of put himself out of his comfort zone as well by letting this hurricane of a girl into his life, and opening himself up to the opportunity for love. I just found these two just like so perfect for one another. They are absolutely made for each other, and I just loved Eve so much, and I love Jacob, and I love those two, and oh my god, they are definitely my favorite couple. Eve is definitely my favorite brown sister. Absolutely adorable. I've had the best time with this trilogy, like the best time with this trilogy ever, like obsessed. All 3 brown sisters are absolutely unapologetically themselves, and I love that. each of them are very similar in a way, but also so different, and I've just had the best time getting to know all of them, seeing them fall in love and open themselves up to connection outside of their family. I love their family dynamics. I love the bond of all three sisters, but I loved getting to know them outside of that family relationship. And yeah, I just think that these are really incredibly well written women and incredibly well written men, like healthy male men. I love their dynamics. I love all of their gentleness, and I love how all three of these love interests have felt and cared for the Brown sisters, and I just think they're really healthy, beautiful relationships. And I'm really, really sad that I'm done this series. This series definitely ended on a high for me. I love Eve and Jacob so much. I cannot believe it. I gave this 4.5, where I've given the first 2 books 4 stars. The reason it wasn't 5 is because there is a little bit of that repetitiveness that I talk about when I read romances, and when I was talking about Neon Gods earlier. I did find that they did have that repetitive thought in it, but not enough to annoy me, but definitely enough to take off 0.5 of a star. So not perfect, but near close. And I cannot believe that I've rated a romance 4.5 stars. If anyone has any recommendations for romances similar to this series, please tell me, because I now have like a gap in my life now that I've done this series. I'm so sad. I don't know how long this video has been going for, so let's quickly talk about my last read of March, and that was In the Shadow of a Fall by Toby Onegondren. This is a really cool like novella, short story. It's inspired by West African mythology, Yubaru mythology to be more specific. So we follow a main character who's an acolyte at this temple. I want to do the blurb justice, so I'm going to reread it. And then these acolytes train, and then they're sent out into the world to serve the Orisha gods. And she's the only acolyte that can't hear the Orisha. They don't speak to her for some reason, and she has been stuck at this temple for years trying to hear the voices of these gods that refuse to speak to her, and she doesn't know why. So she wants answers. She attempts to trap an Orisha, and instead she has this terrible vision, and there's so much more going on in the world of Orisha than she ever thought true. I picked this up purely as a cover buy because, like, holy shit, look at this cover. She's absolutely stunning. I've really enjoyed this. I think I rated it 4 stars. I found a really unique magic system. I really liked our main character. This, I managed to get so emotionally connected to her in such a short amount of time, and so emotionally connected to what was happening around her in such a short time. Like, I was almost crying in points from a novella, which doesn't happen often. Like, what this author's managed to do in a short amount of time is quite cool. I don't think it's the most amazing, mind-blowing writing that I've ever read, but I am super intrigued, and I liked the cliffhanger ending, so I definitely will continue on because I'm like, I need to know what happens now. I believe it's a duology. I'll fix myself on the screen if I'm wrong, but I believe it's a duology. So I'm definitely pulled into the story now. I need to know what happens. I'm like too deep in, and I'm like too emotionally attached to these characters now to not continue on. And I did give it 4 stars. I really liked the magic system. I loved the characters. I loved the culture and the depth to the myths and the god and the lore in these books. I thought it was really really fascinating and really well detailed and well written. So, well, not well written. Well, kind of well written. Like, the writing wasn't great, but the writing, I guess, around the gods was good, was where I saw the writing shine more rather than just the rest of the story, if that makes any sense at all. But yeah, I gave this 4 stars. I quite enjoyed it. Not mind-blowing, but yeah, I thought it was really cool, and the fact that it was inspired by West African mythology is really cool. I can't say that I've read anything like that before, so I thought the magic system was really cool and really unique, and I can't wait to find out what happens in the sequel because, yeah, like I said, I am too emotionally invested now. Alright, that is every book that I have read so far in the year 2025. We've had a lot of mid books so far this year. When I put them all together in one video, there's been a majority mid, so not the most encouraging start to the reading year, to be honest. I'm hoping and manifesting the rest of my reading year will be more 4 or 5 stars rather than just mid 3 stars, but you never know. Let me know in the comments below. How's your reading year been so far? How many books have you read so far this year? What has been your favourite of the year so far, or what has been your least favourite of the year so far? Like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you would like to see more of my content, and I will see you in whatever the hell I post next. Bye!